All right. Hello and welcome to Financially Speaking. My name is Logan Waller from Bushka Wealth Management and Bushka Retirement Solutions. Before we jump into things, if you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 715-355-4445, or you can always look us up on our website at retirewithbushka.com. And while you're there out at our website, feel free to click on that radio page to check out our past shows and to subscribe to our program on all the different streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. So through as we go through this year, it may seem a little hard to believe that we're already halfway through 2025. You know what they say? Time flies when you're having fun. And while we are warm as we go through these weeks ahead and we're planning our different vacations with family barbecues, baseball games, trips, all that stuff, and all the things we love about summer, this is also the ideal time to set up your financial strategy for success and as we head into the conclusion of this year. But before we jump into all that and some different ways to finish out the year on a high note, let me start out by introducing my co-host here today. You're no stranger to him, Tony Shore. How are you doing?
I am doing great, Logan. Thanks for the wonderful introduction there. I love
Yeah.
it.
I thought
I
about going more into your
love it.
resume, but we'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I can't believe, first of all, that we're over halfway through this year already. I mean, they say the older you get, the faster time flies, and it's true. At least years go by in a flash for me now.
Oh yeah.
But days can still, yeah, I can still have days that seem to last forever. How is that? The human mind is a crazy thing in a wild place, especially mine, as you know. That's a scary place. But a day can crawl by, but a year just seems to fly by in a flash. It's so
Yeah.
weird, right?
Yes.
You
It's
ever notice that?
Well, especially, yeah, I always notice it where I am a procrastinator when it comes to buying gifts and things like that. So I'm like, oh, I got time to think about birthdays, Christmas gifts, that type of stuff. And then before I know it, it's December 24th, and I'm like, oh, I haven't done anything. So I
Yeah,
feel it. I feel it.
yeah, that's yeah. You don't want to be that guy, but that happens to the best of us. I mean, time flies, like you say, when you're having fun,
That's right.
and we're going to talk a bit about that. I mean, we're over halfway through 2025, and so good time to take a look at your finances because a lot of people spend a lot of money during the summer months on travel and things like that, activities. So maybe get a good handle on how you're going to finish the year strong and maybe shore up some of those accounts and investments and retirement accounts. But first, this is Fourth of July weekend.
Hmm.
Hopefully, that we're recording this the week of Fourth of July. It's airing on the radio this Fourth of July weekend. So let me tell you, Logan, why Fourth of July is one of my favorite holidays of the year because it's the one day out of the entire year where I can eat both a burger and a brat and nobody's gonna say a thing about
No
it. I
judgment.
don't have to feel guilty. There's no judgment. You can eat both a burger and a brat in one meal and it's fine.
I was
Right?
not expecting that. Yeah, I was expecting usually to talk about fireworks or something, why it's your favorite, but
Sure.
I'd have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
For our viewers, this is what can happen if you don't. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're a
No offense to
magician
those.
too.
You don't want to lose a digit, right? So be
That's
careful
true.
if you are. Be careful if you're shooting off fireworks. I know people can get crazy around here with that, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, the Wausau night is full of fireworks, isn't it?
Yes,
For the
my
next
dog
few nights.
does not like it.
No, our dog doesn't either. So we've stopped doing. We used to be one of those neighbors that shot off fireworks. Now everyone on our cul-de-sac, there's 8 houses on my cul-de-sac. All 8 have dogs. Nobody shoots off fireworks in our cul-de-sac. Now, in the neighborhood next to us or streets next to us, sometimes it happens. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the
I
dogs they hate it for some.
They hate it.
It's like dogs they'll chase a car or a truck
Yeah.
but when it comes to fireworks, they're so afraid. It's so funny. They'll growl at everything except they hear one firework and they're under the couch
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna
cowering.
try. I bought one of those, vests, the anxiety vest for dogs, so we'll try it this year and see if it works. I'll have to report
We
back.
Yeah, we have a sweater we put on our dog, like a dog sweater or whatever, and it does help. Yeah.
Good to know. Good
It
to
does
know.
help, at least for our dog. Every dog's a little different, but
Sure.
how about you? How about your 4th of July? What are your plans this year, Logan?
Nothing really too big. Back in college, I would always have internships and things. So the 4th of July to me was always a working day,
Yeah.
even into my adulthood here. So never really have any big plans for it. But it is always a good reminder to go back and watch the old movie Sandlot. That's
Oh,
anytime I
The
think of 4th of
Sandlot.
July, it's a
Yes,
reminder
The
to watch Sandlot.
Sandlot is a great movie. The Sandlot is one of my favorites. That is a good 4th of July movie.
Yep. So that's my always reminder. Watch it once a year.
Yeah, and it's a good time, of course, the real reason, Independence Day. I think it's
Of
really
course.
important to celebrate our country's independence is fantastic. The patriotism is good. I like that. But again, the excuse to eat brats and burgers, you
It's the
got to grill. You either
oh
grill yourself or go over to somebody's house who's grilling. I mean, I assume, Logan, you'll go over to, maybe Sue or Cole. Somebody will invite you over to grill.
oh
They
yeah.
should. If they're not gonna, I'll make sure they do.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Send that invite for me.
Exactly. Well, hey, this show is a good one. You know, we do want to finish strong. How can we do that? Where do you want to begin?
Yeah, so let's start out talking about a USA Today article. It's titled Forgetting About These Three 2025 Retirement Account Changes That Could Cost You. Has some excellent insights for us. So, an interesting title there, but let's talk about something that's both very simple and very powerful when it comes to building the kind of retirement you actually want and making sure there's regular contributions to that retirement account. So, we're halfway through the year, and this is a big foundation that we want to focus on. But here's what a lot of folks slip up on. They start paying attention to how the rules change around these accounts or not recognizing that, right?
Right.
And that can mean missed opportunities or worse, money left on the table, right? So if you're serious about maximizing your growth and avoiding unavoidable mistakes, as we head into the rest of the year here, here's just some different updates, three of them that you should have on your radar. So the first one, which is kind of fairly new in the grand scheme of things to retirement plans, but it's called automatic enrollment. So starting in 2025, earlier this year, many new retirement plans are required to automatically enroll their employees or participants at a 3% contribution rate. And that rate goes up by 1% each year until it hits somewhere between 10 to 15%. It's a great nudge in the right direction if you're part of a plan that's doing that.
Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb here, though, and say there's a catch, maybe.
Yeah, usually there's a catch somewhere, right? So this rule doesn't apply to older plans, so pre-2025, and also doesn't apply to smaller businesses with fewer than 10 employees or new businesses, churches, government plans. So it's you got to be aware of what type of plan you're in,
Sure,
and where you work. So if that's the case and you haven't enrolled yourself, you're missing out, especially if there's that matching, and then also just not having that compound growth. But you're really again missing out on those matches from the employer, that free money as we call it, and that helps take the pressure off of you to have to put more into your retirement account. So if you're already enrolled in that automatically, just don't stop there. That 3% default, it's a start, but it's not the finish line. Most experts are saying, and including us here, as a real world result, showing that saving 10 to 15% of your income is a much stronger target than just that 3%. If you can do that today, there's no shame in it. But if you can, bumping up to your contributions even a percent or two over time, it can make a huge major impact on that long-term outcome for retirement.
Well, and let's also, Logan, take a moment to note that if you're looking to strengthen your financial strategy so you can finish 2025 strongly, it's probably a good idea to set up a check-in appointment with a financial services professional like yourself and the team there at Bushka Wealth. So what's next?
So just focusing on some of the changes this year, let's talk about something new, especially if you're in that golden window between the ages of 60 and 63. So this is very fresh and very new. You may already know that once you hit age 50, you're allowed to make catch-up contributions to your 401k to the tune of an extra $7,500 on top of your regular $23,000 limit that you're allowed to do into those 401ks. But starting this year, there's a new twist for those people between 60 and 63 years old. If you're in that age range, you can now sock away an extra $11,250, bringing your total contribution limit up to a hefty $34,750 in 2025. It's a pretty serious boost.
Yeah.
But that isn't forever. Once you turn 64, you go back down to that standard catch up for this year's $7,500. This is what we'd call a use it or lose it window. So if you got the room in your budget, this might be a powerful way to fast track your retirement savings when you're on that home stretch, trying to see that light at the end of the tunnel, right? So look, I get it. Not everyone has $34,000 sitting around ready to go into a 401k, but this isn't all or nothing. Even if you can't hit that max, every extra dollar you can contribute today is one less you'll have to worry about down the road.
Yeah, good point, right? So let's take a moment to note that you don't always have to hit the max contribution, right? For it to still be meaningful. Obviously, it's great if you can max it out. I mean, that's a lot, though. I mean, imagine that if you're in that one age range, you could contribute $35,000 a year. That's not going to be doable for everybody, but hey, your contribution can still be meaningful, even if it's less than that. It's just a matter of contribute as much as you can.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And then when we go think back to that article, the third and final update you want to hear about and have on your radar as we look and forward to the rest of the year here, especially if you're someone who loves working part-time, is in the past, part-time employers had to wait 3 full years and work at least 500 hours each year before they could even touch a 401k. That's a long time to be left out of the savings game. But starting this year, that wait has been cut down. Now, part-time workers become eligible after just 2 consecutive years with 500 hours of service in each. That's a big deal. Now, sure, saving for retirement when you're part-time isn't always easy. Budgets are tight, and that's a real thing, but even small contributions can add up in a big way over time. A few $100 invested today could grow into thousands or even tens of thousands by the time you retire. And this is why starting to plunge into and staying into the contributions is important.
Yeah.
Retirement rules do change, sometimes every year. In some cases, it's small stuff like contribution limits. Other times, it's like right now, where it's a potentially a bigger deal for those who have been trying to save and have been on the sidelines.
Yeah, that's another good point. Well, Logan, I know that our listeners are going to have questions. And again, to really finish strong, you should see where you're at, make sure nothing needs adjustments. And it's always good to get a second opinion or get a refresher or rebalance where you're at. Look at your financial situation. So if our listeners have questions or they want to set up that no charge, no obligation consultation, how can they get a hold of you and the team there at Bushka Wealth Management?
Yes, we make it very, very simple for those types of people. You can either call us at 715-355-4445 or go out to our website, retirewithbushka.com. And we can answer your questions, address your concerns, especially about what we're talking about today, finishing off the year strong, but even looking at your financial strategy, any other parts of your retirement plan, whether it's estate planning, tax strategies, all that, because we want to make sure you are prepared for the retirement you've worked so hard for.
Yeah, and that's the key right there. What's that phone number one more time?
It's 715-355-4445.
All right. And during this show today, you've been talking about how we're just past the midpoint of 2025. And you mentioned 3 things that may be able to make the rest of the year better. We want to finish stronger. So how are we going to do that? What's next?
So, for the rest of the show today, I'd like to focus on retirement by addressing how we can tighten up your strategy in the coming months to potentially avoid some of the more common mistakes. So, at this point, we're going to reference an AARP or ARP article that's titled 10 Ways to Fail at Retirement. It definitely has some valuable information in here. So, let's start out with one of the biggest mistakes that can sneak up on people as we head into the second half of this year: underestimating longevity.
Hmm.
A lot of folks retire without fully realizing just how long retirement can last and how much it's going to cost. It's one of the most common financial missteps we see, especially with the advancements of health and technology.
Yeah.
So, according to this article, if you're 65 today, you could be looking at 17 to 20 more years of retirement. And that's just the average. The Census Bureau says the number of Americans living past 100 is set to, I don't even know if I can quadruple over the next few decades. That's crazy to think about. And that means
That's not a
more-
word you hear
Yeah.
a lot. Quadruple. That's
No,
a lot.
no.
That means
That
it's
is
a lot. Yeah.
especially when we're talking about longevity, right?
Yeah.
And this just means that more people than ever could be looking at retirement that lasts not 15, not 20, but 30 years or more.
Yeah.
And yet, some people are stepping away from work without a clear plan for how they'll fund 3 decades of living expenses, healthcare, inflation, everything that comes with it. So now the solution doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the best move is, if your health and situation allow it, simply work a little bit longer.
Yeah.
The extra time on the job can give you a savings boost, shorten the number of years you'll need to stretch those dollars, and even increase your Social Security benefit.
Well, and enjoying a long, healthy retirement obviously is going to be great as long as you have the money to fund it, right?
That's correct. That is
Yeah.
correct. So here's another curveball to throw at you here. Speaking of Sandlot.
Yeah, there you go.
So without planning for an early retirement, so not every retirement happens on your terms. In fact, about half of the retirees end up leaving the workforce earlier than they originally expected. So in this article, they detail that, and it's usually not because they hit their number early. It's because life stepped in. Could be health issues, family caregiving, mom or dad are getting sick, layoffs, buyouts. We've seen the companies come in with mergers. All these things can fast track your exit, whether you're ready or not. It's a bit of a concern, right? So that's
Right.
why having a plan B is so important. Not just a plan B, but maybe a plan C, D, E, F, all the way down to Z,
Yeah.
just so we can try our best to prepare for those things. So you might be aiming to retire in 5 years, but what if you only get 2? What would need to change financially and personally if that were to happen? So if you're part of a couple that isn't just a solo conversation, you got to think about both of you. And both need to be prepared for the possibility that one of you may have to step back from work sooner than planned. So talk through it now before life makes those decisions for you is an important step.
Yeah. And I think couples may also find that communication is the key here. Talk through these various scenarios and do it with a financial services professional because that's an easy way to get everything out into the open and get it figured out, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So as we keep moving forward here, let's talk about one of the most overlooked parts of retirement planning, and it has nothing to do with money. Surprise, surprise. You don't want to reach the end of 2025 or any year really without a real strategy for how you're going to fill all those new hours that come with retirement. You're reporting to a job, now you got all this free time. So on paper, retirement sounds like a paradise. Travel the world, sleep in, hit the beach, focus on hobbies, do whatever you want, whenever you want. But here's the truth. While we retire from something, not enough people think about what they're retiring to. Without a plan, all that free time can turn into restlessness or worse, regret. So start thinking now, or ideally 5 years before your retirement date, about what you want those days to look like. What are you excited about? What gives you purpose? Make it real. Jot down places you've always wanted to visit, hobbies you want to explore that maybe you couldn't. skills you'd love to develop, dreams you've shelved for someday. Well, that day's come.
Yeah.
This is your chance to turn someday into a plan.
Yeah, today is someday, right?
Yeah.
That's what you want to hear. And having a plan for all that newfound free time is going to help you in a number of ways. It's going to keep you from overspending. It's
Hmm.
going to keep you from blowing up your retirement budget. And if you have a purpose and a plan, you'll stay healthier for longer. It's been proven. Study after study shows if you have a purpose and a plan and keep going and don't just stop, I think that's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to talking, if you're in that couple relationship, it's really important just to articulate to your spouse or significant other just what your retirement goals are and what your dreams are, um, to just make sure that you're in that right bucket and have that essential financial to do list by the end of the year. So if you're married, living with that partner, important, excuse me, to remember that retirement doesn't just happen to you. It's both of you, right?
Right.
And that's just going back to that conversation why it's so important to discuss this in the early years before either of you hang it up. Not just about money, but about the meaning, being in retirement. What does
Yeah.
retirement look like to each of you? What does it feel like?
Right.
Because there's one thing one of you might be dreaming of a travel or an adventure, and we hear it all the time. One spouse wants to go get a camper, the other one's like, nah, I like to stay home. Well, so you just want to have those discussions and talk about it, so you're not stepping on each other's toes or dreams, and carve out that time to share your vision for what you want, what you need, and how you see those next chapters unfolding. Retirement's a shared journey. Make sure you're writing that map together.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, your list might be a little different than your spouse's list, but there's probably enough overlap that your shared retirement can still be fun and full of adventure, right?
Yeah, and things change, of course, too. So your
Yeah.
social life is one of those big things that will change.
Yeah.
Now that you have the free time, kids might be asking you to watch the grandparent or watch the grandkids. Excuse me, they're the grandparents, or friends are like, "Hey, you got time to play cribbage or bingo or whatever it is." So, if you want those friendships to last and those different hobbies, you've got to work for them, but not overdo it. Right? No one's going to show up at your front door with a coffee and a calendar and have take that time to make that initiative to do those things. And beyond that, think about how you're going to meet new people. Volunteering, join a club, take that class you've always talked about. Your calendar may clear up in retirement, but that doesn't mean your life should. The more you can occupy yourself, the less likely, and like you just had said, the less likely it will be that you're spending too much time or money in places that you didn't budget for or plan for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Now, this has been a great discussion talking about how we're just over halfway through 2025, some things you can do, steps you can take to put yourself on firmer financial ground for the rest of the year. What do you have for us next?
So, referencing back to the AARP article titled again, 10 Ways to Fail at Retirement, has more important insights that I think are worth taking more look into, including the risk of not having a house plan. So, let's talk about something that doesn't always get the attention it deserves in retirement planning: where you're going to live and how long that plan is going to work.
Hmm.
When you're raising kids, your home choice probably revolved around them: good schools, a safe neighborhood, parks close by, room to grow. But retirement flips the script. Now the questions sound more like, what can I afford on a fixed income? Is there a good hospital nearby? Does this house make sense as I get older? Are there stairs? Is it all one level? The reality is a lot of people move into retirement without thinking long term. And that can come back to bite you, because what works at 65 may not work for you at 75 or age 85, right? This is where a real housing strategy comes in, and ask yourself these questions. Should I downsize? And by how much? How much stuff do we have? Can we downsize? Do I want to have extra space for the kids and grandkids to visit? Would a single story home make more sense if mobility ever becomes an issue? Should I make modifications now for safety and accessibility? If I outlive my spouse, would I still feel comfortable living here alone? Are there solid long-term care options close by? So just some generic questions to start to get you to think about those things as it relates to your home, because you want that to support the life you want to live, not limit it. Take the time to think it through. Don't just plan where you want to live next, but plan for the life that it might look like, and help you take after that.
Yeah, and that's another great point. My wife and I, Logan, have been thinking about this, as now our kids are out of the house, so we're finally empty nesters, and we're like,
Sure.
we want a house that we can age gracefully in. I mean, we're not there yet. I mean, we're not retirement age quite yet, but
I was gonna
we're
say, you
getting.
look young. You look young.
Yes, I look too young to retire, right? I say yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do, Tony. Good answer, Logan. Um, but you're right. The one level home, and these things are trickier. There aren't, at least in our area, not as many one level living options as there are multi living. There are more 5 and 4 and 3 bedrooms out there than there are one level homes. I will tell you that. There are more 2 and 3 level homes or split level homes, a lot more than there
Mhm.
are one level homes. And that's part of the real estate problem. It's because the baby boomer generation, young people, a ton of young people, tons of kids. And
Mhm.
that's why all these houses have been built, and builders found it was cheaper to build up than out. The larger the slab or the foundation, the more expensive the house. So if you want the square feet all on one level, you need more property, you need more money. And it's crazier that a one level 2-bedroom home could cost more than a 2-level 2-bedroom home, right?
Yeah.
Or a 2-level
True.
3-bedroom home in some cases. So um, you have to think about these things, and do you want to rent? Do you want to purchase? Where are you going to live? So that's a good one. I'm really glad you brought that one up. That's important. Now, I think this has been a great discussion today, but Logan, we're almost out of time. It flew by. Can you believe it?
Hey, time flies when you're having fun.
That's what we said at the beginning of the show. We'll say it again at the end of the show. I love that. Well, Logan, and you're not thinking of downsizing anytime soon. You're a young pup yet.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm in the growth stage.
Yeah, you're probably looking for a bigger place right now.
I got some construction going on, so I'm doing it myself.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're having it built. Good luck with that.
It's fun.
I don't know anyone who's worked with a contractor that came in on time or under cost. So
Yeah,
good
especially when
luck
you're your
with-
own contractor.
Oh, wow, that's the worst. He's the worst contractor of all.
Oh,
Wow, you
that
really
guy.
didn't get a good contractor.
Yeah,
I
that
bet
guy
you're
is a
really not
slacker.
happy with him.
Oh, yeah, we have some discussions.
That's why I see you talking to yourself. Okay, I get it. You're your own contractor.
Yep.
All right. Well, great show today. Before we go, Logan, let our listeners out there know how they can get a hold of you. And you're offering a no charge, no obligation consultation, and you'll meet with them directly if they want to talk to you. And why wouldn't they? I mean, otherwise they have to deal with other people in the office. They don't want that. Like
Yeah.
my two Ryans or Cole or
Kaylee,
Kaylee. No,
Joe.
they want Logan. So Logan, how can our listeners set up that consultation?
Yeah, so 2 different ways. You can reach out to through our phone. That's 715-355-4445, or go out to our website, retirewithbushka.com, and set up that no obligation consultation, because it's never too late even to have a second opinion, right? And we can answer all your questions, address your concerns about finishing the year strong here, but also looking into your financial strategy or any other parts, whether it's estate planning, tax strategies, all the things that come with it, life insurance, but really just help you make sure you're on track for your retirement. It's our goal to help you prepare for retirement you've always worked so hard for. So again, number is 715-355-4445 or retirewithbushka.com.
All right. Sounds great. Well, Logan, great show today. It was a lot of fun doing the show with you today. I hope you come back soon to host the show. And listeners and viewers, that does it for today's episode of Financially Speaking with our host, Logan.